I want to show you guys the difference about when it comes to paper when you're printing artwork at home, because you can do it and you can do it better than the other people, than drop shipping, than anything. You can do it better and make your costs come way down just by investing in the right materials. It takes a lot of trial and error. So just, I know you might not know me, you might know me, but just trust me that I know the right materials, and I'm going to go over them with you. I'll start real quick by saying that I did a ton of research on printers, and I'm not going over printers, but I will link my personal printer below so that you can grab it without spending $1,000 on a printer or without buying a POS, because printers are a headache to do research on, and I did a ton of research on them. And I bought my printer with all my fingers crossed because I had researched for like 2 or 3 months. Finally bought it, and here we are 5 years later, and it works like the day that I bought it. So love it. Down below, it's like $300-ish, best $300-ish you could invest in if you're printing artwork. All right, so I've gotten the Epson presentation paper matte, the premium. This is what I wanted to, because I wanted the best possible prints for artwork, and this was recommended in umpteenth amount of forums, but this is how it prints. Now, I don't know, you can't notice yet because I haven't compared them, but these colors are super dull in comparison to what the actual artwork is, and I did it on the correct settings. I did it with their paper. I have an Epson printer, use the Epson paper, and I was very unimpressed with this. And initially this is what I was using, but I wasn't happy. I didn't want to sell art prints, and I did a lot more digging, and then I found the best thing in the world, which is Red River paper. Like, this paper pack hasn't been used. I printed this so that you could see, but I haven't used this. It's pretty much full still because I was so unhappy with it. So I buy Red River paper. That's all that I buy. I have a link below so that you can also be a Red River fanatic. This is all that I use for my artwork, and here is why. So I move this over and you see nothing but vibrance, and I'm going to show you all of these papers, and they're all different types of Red River paper. And the reason that I'm going to show you all of them is, one, to show you how the quality stays throughout every single type of paper that they have, but also so you can actually see the types of paper to see which one that you might be interested in grabbing first, because I know that, you know, not everybody wants to buy the sample pack and go through the whole thing, but the first thing I want to say is that the sample kit I do think is worth getting just to test. So that's what I did with these carrots. This one, it's just going in the trash. I'll show it to you again momentarily so that we can really compare, but this is basically Red River praise video. But yeah, so I went through this sample pack and I grabbed, they have 2 of each type of paper in here, and I printed on all the ones that I would print on for art. I left out the glossy stuff because I don't print artwork on glossy. I just use either, I prefer matte finish, but you could use shiny too. But I'll go over the paper these are the papers that I use the most. This is the sample pack, what it looks like. And then otherwise they come in these little boxes, making it really convenient. It's stated on the box, both on the side and the front, so that you have easy access into seeing, you know, what paper you're grabbing when you're storing it. So let's just go over this. Their sample pack, I did this little schmutz, it didn't print that way, but their sample pack will show you the type of paper on the bottom. So that's not ideal to like print finished stuff on, but if you're sampling it, it is what it is. River Linen, that is a pack that I have right here. And so to show you the paper, it's got this really beautiful texture. It's a nice heavier weight paper. I don't know if you're gonna see this the way that I really want you to see it, but it's got this really beautiful, if I go really close, there we go, this really beautiful natural texture to it, but it still prints really crisp. So you can see, I mean, obviously this is a loose watercolor, so it's not going to be super crisp, but you can see it doesn't interrupt any of the printing itself. So it does a really beautiful job keeping a nice kind of canvas texture, and then printing your art onto it. I'm a big fan of that paper when you want to, if you're looking for something that really holds up in a fine art way. Okay, so that's River Linen. Now, this next one, I printed on both sides because I had the wrong setting first, but this is 64 pound Aurora White. So Aurora White comes in, I'm going to put this behind it so you don't see through. There we go. You might a little bit, just ignore that. But Aurora White comes in different weight, and it also comes in different, there's Aurora Natural, which is this one, and it's more of an ivory than a white, so that's the difference. Some of you might be drawn more to the ivory. When I first started using Red River paper, I was using the ivory more, but then I realized that my like target market likes this bright white better, so switched back to that. But yeah, so this is just like the weight of it. It's nice. It's a nice general 60-ish pound paper. Is a nice art paper. You can see it printed nice and crisp with beautiful colors. If we compared with the linen, it's not much of a difference. So then we have the natural, also came out super vibrant. So you don't see much variation with the tone. It's just the background, the paper itself, the color there. Aurora Art is the one for that. So this is a nice kind of standard fine art matte paper. Okay, and then we've got paper canvas. So this is really similar to the linen. I believe it's a little more spendy, but holding them up really close, this is the canvas, this is the linen, so it's very, very similar. The canvas, the texture is a little larger as far as being spaced out and a little more on the surface, but to be totally honest, I think that River Linen is totally sufficient. I can't remember the price differences, but there was a reason I went with the linen and not, it could just be the name, who knows. Either way, they're both great papers. They're both 60 pound paper. The linen is just more like tightly woven than the canvas. Okay, the next one is Premium Matte Plus. This is similar to Aurora. I believe the Aurora was 64 pound. Yeah, and then this is 60 pounds, so if that matters to you, but the print is still nice and vibrant, and it's matte, so just another standard nice print paper. Now this one, I would not do a print on this one. This is their Palo Duro Satin. It's sheen. It's got some sheen to it. You can hear, you know, it's one of those finishes. It's more like photo paper. It's still printed wonderfully. I think that I accidentally put it in there and I was like, well, I get to show people. And then same with this one. This is the Arctic Polar Luster, and the luster is what gives that sheen. Same thing. This one's thicker. It's 75 pound. This is 66 pound. They both print beautifully. If you like a satin finish, then they would be great, but it's just personal preference, not into it. This one is a lot more matte, but it still has kind of a slight sheen. I'm not sure if you can see that. Here we go. If you look at that redder carrot, you can see the sheen. It's a nice thick paper, 68 pounds, really smooth, and does have that slight sheen to it. Okay, this is Polar Matte, and this one comes in it's a lot of different weights, but it comes with the thickest weight, which I actually didn't print on, but it would look the exact same as this one, which is the Polar Matte Magna. It's 88 pound. It's so thick that in the box, move honey, did you see how she looked at me? It's so thick that in the box it starts to curl. So like, I mean, it doesn't really, but it's because I have them sitting upright. It wouldn't curl otherwise, but that's like, it's just so thick. So these could be like, they could basically stand on their own if you were to make prints out of them because they're so thick. But this is what I end up using for all of my prints now, just because I'm like, hey, high quality that I'm sending people for still an affordable price because I'm printing from home. And it prints just like this, exactly the same. It's nice and bright and vibrant, even though the sun is going down, you can't see as well, but if you compare them, you can see how vibrant it is. This is the Premium Matte Plus. This is the Polar Matte. The Polar Matte has a lot more saturation and depth to it, but both of them have a really, really nice finish. So there's not much to compare as far as like, you know, which one should I go with? It's just a matter of like grab grab one of them and you're gonna be fine. The last one is also a satin. So if you're into it, then this is another kind of satin one. It's real similar to the Arctic Polar Satin, or excuse me, to the other satins. It's called Arctic Polar Satin. If I was to point out a difference, after, touching them, this one's the Arctic Polar Luster is real thick. It's more shiny. The Palo Duro Satin, it kind of has like almost what looks like a metallic-y sheen. It's really slight. It also looks a little more eggshell than the Arctic Polar Luster. Polar is the whitest, I believe, out of all of them. I use Polar Matte, but this is satin. They feel, texture-wise, these two, the Arctic Polar Luster and Polar Satin, feel the most like photo finish, and then the Ultra Pro Satin is pretty matte. But it does have a slight sheen still. So if you like sheen, that is kind of the difference, and just know that the Palo Duro Satin is a little more eggshell. Okay, so all that being said, those are the ones that I wanted to test with you so that you could actually see them and see how they printed. I am biased because I've been using River Linen, and I've used Aurora Art both in natural and the white. Is it called Aurora White? Yes, Aurora Art White and Aurora Art Natural. And so I've used those. I used to use those all the time, but I switched to the Polar Matte because I liked the weight of the 88 pound. And then I also absolutely love the River Linen or the paper canvas. So I know that's a lot of choices, but if you were to grab like your first go, here is what I would say. Basically, forget any other type of paper besides Red River paper. Just trust me. Like, they're all going to print like this or worse. It gets faded. It's not as vibrant. It's just like not a question. So trust me, Red River paper, I've linked it below. You're going to love it. Just trust me, trust me. Like, I was reading forums that said that to me and I was like, I don't know, but we'll see. Worth it. I've linked the printer that I use below. I swear by it. It makes it so that I don't, you didn't have to spend $1,000 on a printer, but you're also buying one that's quality, that's going to last. And I will see you next time.